microphone. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
But it's over there. My disabled little ass is not getting onto that table. I'm a professional wrestler, right? That is one of my actual jobs.
Yes.
And I swear, people like... I bet there are people that think I'm making up the fact that I'm, like, physically disabled. I don't think they disbelieve the mentally disabled bit. I think I make that very self-evidenced with all of my behaviours. But yeah, I don't think people... Well, I worry about it, especially in Britain, where there's a lot of distrust. Let me get this collar off. There's a lot of distrust in America, in Britain. Sorry, I live there now. For the disabled, Elsa.
I see.
Mostly because the Conservative government, not to get too political, but they don't want to give people money. So they don't want to pay disability allowance. So they're like, oh, that person in a wheelchair stood up for a moment to scratch their ass. I bet they're faking it. Plus, British culture, there's always a big paranoia in British culture about being tricked. No one wants to feel like they've been duped. So there's a lot of paranoia, a lot of preoccupation with the idea that someone in a wheelchair, that's the most common one, is faking it.
That explains a lot of Sacha Baron Cohen's body of work.
Oh, it may do.
Because he's English, if I'm not mistaken, and...
Indeed, indubitably.
His, a lot of his oeuvre has centered around him tricking people.
Oh, we're a big fan of that culturally in Britain. Tricks.
Just deception.
We have a long-running habit, a long-running tradition. Imagine if Jackass was less violent and more just silly. Which, Jackass had some silly things. It wasn't all just people, like, hitting each other in the bollocks until they vomited. They had silly things, like when they would, like, dress up like knights and joust on bicycles, or run around dressed as pandas. Stuff like that. There's a lot of British entertainment that's about that, like, large-scale, nonsensical practical jokes.
Yeah, I've seen Trigger Happy TV.
That was the name of it! I was about to say, I remember the guy's name, Dom Jolly, but I couldn't remember the name of the show, because I've described it to Fee before, because of my favourite sketch on Trigger Happy TV, which, if listeners are unfamiliar with... By the way, hello, I'm Stephanie Sterling, and I'm joined by Elsa Farron here.
Hi.
And we are talking about Trigger Happy TV at the moment, which was a show in, I think, the early 2000s or late 90s, turn of the millennium, and... It was one of those shows where the public, the unsuspecting public, would deal with like these wacky characters and scenarios that Dom Jolly would enact in public, and they wouldn't know. The most famous sketch was him with a gigantic mobile phone, which was about the size of a boy, which he'd have, and he'd yell really loudly into it, and people would jump and go, ah, because they're on a bus, and suddenly he stands up with a giant boy-sized phone, and he's just, hello! I'm on a phone! Like that, and everyone would laugh.
It's rubbish!
It's rubbish! But my favourite sketch on Trigger Happy TV was when he knocked on someone's door, and he was there with like a clipboard and a little uniform, and in the garden behind him was someone in a tiger costume, and the tiger costume had a cane and a top hat, and I think a little tuxedo, and... When the guy answers the door, Dom Jolly's there just looking at the clipboard saying, right, I'm here to drop off a posh tiger. Someone at this address ordered a posh tiger. And then it was just this big back and forth argument over whether or not someone at the house had indeed ordered a posh tiger, which the concept is just sublime. So yes, there was one show which starred an actor a comedy actor I really liked, but I can't remember his name. Played a lot of sort of camp characters. Was in would be in the kind of shows you'd expect Kevin Eldon to be in, which
the only
98% of the listener base is not going to know what I mean by that. They're not going to know Kevin Eldon, who is just a brilliant like supporting comic actor.
The only English comedic actor I can think of off the top of my head is Harry Enfield.
Harry Enfield and Chums, great sketch show at of its day. I've rewatched some of it like a couple of years ago, and it's good for the nostalgia.
Loads of money.
Loads of money!
Shut your mouth and look at my wad!
That was one of his early characters, a character literally just called Loads of Money, which was a character he came up with in the 80s.
Yes.
Sort of making fun of the sort of new money, sort of...
Thatcher era,
like, yeah.
yuppie.
Guys that had just come into money and sort of thought that made them better than everyone else. But yes, there's a lot of that. Sacha Baron Cohen, of course, famous for Ali G and Bruno and stuff, just to mention things that the listeners might know, rather than me having started this show by talking about Dom Jolly and Kevin Eldon.
As of this recording, if I'm not mistaken, you have not yet published your review of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and woe betide you if you assign that game a number, and if like that number is something really, really low, like 9.5.
Ooh.
And I just wanted to, as an American, I wanted to offer you asylum. Should you publish the review and the number is not high enough for the liking of certain individuals.
There are a few places left for me to go. I look at it this way, right? I'm a tranner. I don't know if I can say that. Well, I can say that. But
yeah, you can say it.
I can say that. I'm one of them lot, right?
Yeah.
And I gave Zelda Breath of the Wild a 7 out of 10. I think there's only New Zealand, and they're wavering on the Zelda thing when it comes to granting asylum.
Iceland. You could probably go to Iceland.
Or Argentina. I mean, Argentina accepted the Nazis, so...
Fair enough.
I mean, I think even they would consider a 7 for Zelda borderline.
I just realized you are also an American, so it wouldn't be asylum, would it?
That's true. I am still currently American.
And 2, I think the thing that they wouldn't like about you in Argentina is that you're English. If I were Argentinian, or if I were a personification of the country of Argentina, I would not have forgiven the UK for what Margaret Thatcher did just yet.
True.
Like, I mean, I'm an American, and I've barely written Thatcher off.
Britain doesn't forgive Britain. Actually, that's not true. The Tory government has been around long enough that Britain has officially forgiven Britain for Margaret Thatcher, to the point where they're starting to make it so that schools can't even teach you about the shit the British Empire got up to. Because that's dissent. To tell the truth about Britain's history is dissent. Because it paints it in a bad light. It's borderline treasonous. Because there's no painting that well.
No,
you can't look at like the East India Company and think, oh, there's got to be a positive spin on that. Give me a minute. Give me a sec.
It made certain people more wealthy.
That's true. It was a source of prosperity, ... for some people.
Yeah, for like 20 people. All of whom I imagine look like Colonel Mustard from Cluedo. All of them. Like, everyone who profited off of the East India Trading Company, I imagine, is a man with an enormous bushy blonde mustache, a monocle, and one of those stupid bucket hats. And they begin every sentence with, "What-ho!"
Yeah, I like that. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. Because I don't remember this being the case. I may have screwed it up. But it is looking like, in order to transfer my save data from my old Switch, which I'm gonna duct tape to its dock before letting the kids use it. Because I've seen what they do to technology, and screens especially. So I'm duct taping it into the dock and being like, here you go, kids, enjoy. And we're getting them like third-party Joy-Cons that they can smash up as well.
Delightful.
Indeed. They're such cherubs.
You know, I had respect for technology at that age, damn it. I knew better than to destroy my mother's Nintendo.
Exactly.
Or my mother's Sega Genesis that she bought for herself so that she, and not I, but she could play Boogerman.
Ha! Boogerman! I remember Boogerman. Our mutual acquaintance, Jonathan Holmes, from Destructoid.com and Buston's Favourite Son and Talking to Women About Video Games, another podcast you feature on, he looks like Boogerman. And that's not me saying that. He said that once.
He could do a really good Boogerman cosplay. Oh my god, why isn't Jonathan the Boogerman?
Cosplay. Sorry, I got very excited because my brain stopped when you said do Boogerman. And then I just imagined the titular star of the Boogerman franchise just bumming a man who used to be on MTV's Road Rules, The Northern Trail.
Yeah. I think that happens, because,
oh, definitely.
Because, I mean, the first 4 levels of Boogerman are pretty standard. But then you get to level 5.
Yeah.
And there's just a guy there. Just a bald man who pulls his pants down and...
I think I've made a mistake.
Oh, yeah?
That's the problem. Sorry, I realise I cut you off.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm very discombobulated. I must have made a mistake. It must have been when I was paranoid about the bit where it said, when I was logging my Nintendo account into the new Switch, it said, are you still going to use the old Switch? And out of paranoia, I said yes, because I do not want to lose my Tears of the Kingdom save file, because there is some shit in that game I am currently glad I will never have to do again for the rest of my life.
Oh, be careful. You just said something that might be construed as negative about a Legend of Zelda game.
Oh, don't worry. By the time this podcast goes out, the review will have been published, and the shit will have already hit the fan. It will be all over the place. It'll be on the walls, it'll be on our clothes, little bit would have got into the dog food bowl, and before I could even change the water out of it, the dog will have already lapped it up, because that's like a fucking gourmet for them.
Yeah, dogs do eat poo.
They love it.
They love to eat poo.
They love shit.
And, hey, what? So do some people. I'm not going to judge.
I mean, coprophilia, I believe, is the term for people that enjoy that matter we so elegantly call fecal. The good old fecal treacle.
Or, dejecta is a scientific term I heard once.
Oh, I like that. I'm not dejected to hear that term. That's a new one.
Dejecta.
Dejecta. Sounds like a transformer.
Or a band from the 80s.
Yeah.
Or, no, it sounds like an 80s cover band. Like, it sounds like a cover band that would have been made in the 80s. It made it in, like, the aughts or early 2010s. To cover 80s music. Like, Eye of the Tiger and Live to Win and whatever other songs there were in the 1980s. I wouldn't know. I was barely there.
Yeah, I was there for most of it. I'm one of the defective early-run millennials. I'm one of them ones that gets accused by boomers of being, like, young, work-shy avocado eaters. But I also vividly remember a time before the internet. It's an odd place to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having been born in 1984, one of my earliest memories was the Great Hurricane of 88, I want to say. Or 89. It was 80-something in Britain. Big hurricane. It made our door slam right shut and all the glass in it broke.
Damn.
Oh, it was a whole thing. But just to quickly cycle back to where I was with this Switch, whatever I've done, I've made it so that I can't bulk transfer all of my save files. It's making me do them one at a time.
Oh, fuck.
And I have, played a lot of games in my time, Elsa, I don't mind telling you that. I mean, I'm a little bit ashamed to be seen playing games.
Yeah, I mean, video games are filth to be consumed by filth.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Fucking, it's for the pigs. It's for the rutting hogs in the muck, Elsa.
No, you know what it's for? Video games are for the pigmen from Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, yeah, the Men of the Pigs from Darkest Dungeon. I haven't played the sequel.
Yeah, it just came out. I haven't played it either. I bought a new laptop just to play it. And then that laptop decided to shit the bed. So it is currently in the shop. And we will see what happens with that. Whether I can even fucking play Darkest Dungeon 2. But if not, there is always the original on the Vita.
There is. Ah, the Vita. I've got one. If I craned my neck enough, and I shouldn't because I keep straining my neck in wrestling training, I did something. I've always had a bad thing with a pinched nerve in my neck. But if I craned it enough, I could see my Vita. It's on a windowsill in an alcove. My favourite alcove, actually. If anyone's asking, I've got a favourite alcove.
Of course you do. You deserve nothing less.
Well, yeah. If you don't have a favourite alcove, sort your life out. Get your priorities straight, Debbie.
My favourite alcove is my bed. Because it's a canopy bed.
Oh, a canopy bed.
Mm-hmm. Fancy schmancy.
Delectable. I've got a bed that bits of it go up and down.
Ooh.
Because it was one of the... It was something I promised myself as a sign that I am a success. One day I will have a nice bed that moves a bit. And it took me quite a while to pay off that bed. But I was determined to have a nice bed. But my back injury is such that I am now in tremendous amounts of pain if I sleep in the bed for too many nights in a row. So the nice bed I bought, I'm not always in. That said, I do a lot of non-sleeping activities in it, so I got my money's worth there.
I have yet to do any sort of non-sleeping activities in my canopy bed. Which is the reason I bought it. Just for the benefit of the listeners, I'm talking about intercourse.
Yeah. Of a sexual kind, yeah?
Yes. Sexual.
Oh, fabulous.
Sexual liaisons. I have yet
fantastic.
I have yet to christen this canopy bed, even though that's the reason I own it.
Well, I mean, having been in crushingly lonely relationships, followed by a period of some being single, it took quite some time for me to feel like a bed that was mine own had actually gotten any play whatsoever. Thrilled to report that I've more than made up for it.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh, absolutely thrilled.
I believe it. I choose to believe your bed is the site of dozens of, like, Eyes Wide Shut style orgies. All of which are confined to your bed. But they're all, everybody, at least 10 people, they're all wearing masks.
Oh yeah, and it is confined to the bed. If someone falls out, they're not allowed back in. Everyone looks at them angry.
Yeah.
And just say, get out. Get out. You fall on the floor, get out. Yes, you can help yourself to a sausage roll in the fridge. But other than that, get the fuck out. What do you mean, what kind of sausage roll? It's a Sainsbury's own brand. Oh, I don't care if you prefer Ginsters or you'll take a pucker at a press. Get out! If they're not good enough for you, they're not good enough for you. No, you can't have the cocktail sausages. They're for brunch.
Delightful.
Yeah, the orgy takes place at like 7:15 in the morning. Hence the mention of brunch.
It's like brunch after you've just got done, just pounding it.
Oh, it's one of Stephanie Sterling's famous Yorkshire Munchin brunches. And if someone wants to, put themselves off their breakfast by eating a sausage roll at 7:15 in the morning, because it's like, if you fall on... Oh, Elsa, if you fall on the floor, then yes, you're out of the orgy, but you're still welcome to the brunch.
Well, that's good.
Still welcome to the brunch, Elsa.
That's good to know. Because, if I ever attend, which I do, I'm currently drawing up an elaborate scheme to get into one of them.
Oh, I love elaborate schemes.
Yeah, like a heist, because I've watched a lot of Mission Impossible in my time, and I'm hoping to rappel from the ceiling into your bed as like you and 8 other people are just going into each other. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, and I'm a big girl. I'm not quite as tall as you are, or as shapely. But I'm pretty big, and it's nice to know that if I fall off of the bed, which is likely, that I'll still, at the very least, I'll get to have a sausage, maybe some black pudding, a hashed brown, and I don't know, a cup of coffee.
I've got a poor mental association with black pudding, because my evil stepdad was a Yorkshireman. Loved the stuff. And he'd make us eat the things he liked.
Oh.
I didn't like liver and onions. I didn't want to eat liver and onions. I weren't allowed to move until I'd eaten the lot.
I'm sorry, what has to happen in a person's life for them to really, to be so adamant about liver and onions?
Right? That's the hill you make a small child die on in your stead.
And the thing is, I'm a Southern American chud. I will eat almost anything as long as it's fried or you had to kill it. I'll eat most things. I draw the line at organs. There's just something about them.
Yeah.
Just not a fan.
No, it's not great. It's not a good look. Liver and onions is not a good look.
I'm glad we agree on this. I'm glad that there's consensus.
Well, I mean, it's always finding that middle ground. I have fucked this up for myself because I've moved over the Legend of Zelda save file. And they delete, because it's Nintendo, the save file is deleted on the home console. Which, by the way, I can't seem to track it down on the new Switch. So I'm having kittens about that. I'm nervous that I've lost everything.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, that would mean that you'd have to start Tears of the Kingdom over again.
Oh, I would rather burn. Elsa, I would rather burn.
How? Really?
Look, I like these games. I've always liked Breath of the Wild. I've always made that very clear, despite my many caveats, but it is because of those caveats that I do not want to subject myself to that level of spite again. The games have a lot going for them, but they're also spiteful. And there are certain parts that I am glad I never have to do again. I am partway through an incredibly laborious series of side quests strewn across the entire game world, just so that I have an easier time climbing up a wall when it's been raining. Because that's the kind of game this is.
Oh,
spiteful.
They kept that, did they?
Course they did.
Fucking...
Course they did.
Oh.
They've kept it all. They've apologised for nothing.
Are the weapons still made of fucking paper mache?
Oh, absolutely. And they're weaker. They've really doubled down on this. Now, to their credit, they have, and I mentioned this in the review that will have been up, they have a weapon fusion system now, which is actually quite fun and goes some way, as I've said before, that it goes some way towards minimising a problem that would have been better solved by just removing it.
Oh, Christ.
Now what you do is you get a weapon and you stick it to things. And it's actually sort of fun, because any of the monster parts you get, instead of just using them to, in alchemy, cooking up things, you can attach them to weapons and make them, really quite powerful. If you get, a horn off of a Lizalfos or something, off of a big lizard monster, you can stick that to your weapon, which makes it deal a lot more damage and become more durable. It still breaks after a silly, piddlingly pitiful small number of hits, but it does increase them. And because it's Nintendo and they don't trust their own gameplay systems enough, they'd always rather force you to engage with a system than incentivize it. So a base weapon, most of them are weak as fuck. And they've doubled down on how shit Hyrule's weaponry is by even coming up with a narrative justification this time. Because the gloom that has arrived, just red glowy shit that hurts you, the gloom that has started to creep over Hyrule has decayed all the weapons. And the first time a character told me this, I lost my shit. Because here was this NPC telling me that, oh, all of our weapons are decayed now. And all I can think is, what the fuck were they in the last game then? If they're decayed now, does that mean you made swords that break after 5 hits on purpose?
Were they decrepit before?
Apparently not. Apparently it's new that they're decrepit, even though they broke after 5 hits in the last game. Which means they designed them that way. It's no wonder these fucker eggs can't defend themselves against bokoblins and little slimes. They can't make a sword worth of shit.
Why don't they just punch them?
Oh, yeah. If you don't have weapons, like, Link won't do anything. He'll just reach for his back where there should be a sword and just go, oh.
You know, how many Super Smash Bros. Games has Link been in?
Quite a few.
And I know for a fact that he has been in games where he has fought characters like Kirby and Mario and Solid Snake and Ken from Street Fighter and Ryu from Street Fighter and Captain Falcon, and all of them will punch you in the fucking mouth, no bother.
Yeah.
So what's your fucking excuse, Link? Get your twink ass in gear.
Yeah, get it in gear, Link, you twat. I imagine by the time this podcast comes out, people are going to be sick of me shitting on the game, which I do like. Again, it's both Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are games that fight you. They make loving them an uphill battle because they're spiteful.
Oh,
because you slip.
Like that.
You slip when it rains, and horses kick you in the face, and your weapons break, and your horse won't appear if it's out of hearing range when you whistle for it, so you're constantly leaving it behind. The bows break. I know I've made this point before. I made it on Podquisition. I will have made it in the review. I've made it on live streams. Bows are balanced by the fact that you need arrows for them. The fact that they break on top is double balance, which is imbalanced.
That's just bad. That's just bad. And the thing that bothers me about like the just massive praise, the level of prestige, not only associated with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but Zelda as a whole, is it feels like bad game design choices are suddenly good if it happens in a Zelda game.
Oh yeah. People will come up with some roundabout defense for it. And like many Nintendo games, because like I said, Nintendo prefers the stick to the honey in any scenario. The way those games are defended sort of creeps me out because of the amount of times they use the word force. I like that weapons break because it forces me to experiment and use other weapons.
That's not... See, here's the thing. You know what's a game that encourages you to experiment and use other weapons?
What's that?
Bloodborne. The best video game.
It is up there.
The way that Bloodborne does this is when the game begins, you are given a choice of 3 weapons. And then, as the game progresses, you find other weapons and the means to acquire other weapons. And the game provides you with upgrade materials. It provides you with a means to raise stats to experiment with weapons on the fly. And each weapon, except for the Saw Spear, is unique.
Yeah. I really like the weapons in that game.
That game has such good weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just has such good... Like, that's one of my foibles with games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, is that some weapons are shit by design. Like, Dark Souls gives me the option to have Wolverine claws.
Mm-hmm.
And you can dual wield. In Dark Souls 1, there's no reason to, but you can do it. But it's just objectively worse You can hamper your build if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
By dual-wielding claws, but it doesn't accomplish anything.
It is a bit of a shame, because I like whips. Not like that. Get your minds out the gutter. Oh, get your minds out the gutter. Oh. Sorry, I went a bit Frankie Howard then.
You fucking bastard.
Oh, you fucking bastard! Oh, I'm a married woman, you fucking bastard. Sorry, for those wondering what that was, I was being a wench. Elsa inspired, triggered the latent. In my past life, I was a wench, a serving wench in a tavern. And, oh, you want me, do you? Oh, do you want a little roll around in the dump corner? Oh, I'll do that for you if the bard watches. Sorry. By the way, it's very easy for me to regress, as I've just demonstrated. Oh shit! The meeting's ended. Fucking hell. Hello, Conrad. Conrad's there to sing this, listeners. Hello. Well, Elsa knows the drill. Yep, they've just sent me a message that says, "Damn it, lol." Okay. I'm just gonna... Don't worry about this, faithful listener. Look, my husband's looking at me and smirking. And why does it put me to this page? The Zoom website is terrible. By the way, listener. No, not join a meeting, host a meeting with video off, because no one needs to see my face.
I'm just imagining his pain knowing that the remove silence button.
What silence button? What? Why is it telling me to join a meeting? I just launched meeting. Sorry, what?
Well, the remove silence button won't get rid of this now.
Well, no. It's not. What do we sign? I have signed in. Oh my god. Zoom. It's the worst. It's the worst. Host. Video off. Open Zoom. Start your next meeting in 8 minutes.
You could start a Discord.
Fucking hell, they have changed this. Oh god, now I've got to tell Elsa that they fucking changed this.
On Discord, which you could also call on.
What?
You could just call
That is true. Hang on. No, because we've tried Discord for Podquisition and it fucked. I mean, we could try it. I'll see if they want to just try Discord. Yeah, okay. Fucking hell. Alright, how do I do that? Voice call. Ah.
All right.
Hello. So we have tried Discord before for Podquisition and it didn't... It was laggy to the point where we really sort of had sort of trouble clashing, but we'll give it a go.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll work. I did just do a lot of talking that will be kept in the podcast because I like to think it was very fucking entertaining. And Fee chipped in as well. So I'll just do us a pickup.
But I sang a song actually.
You sang a song while you were gone?
Yeah, I sang a song about the brown rising up.
Oh, delightful. Delightful. In some positive news, it does look like the Zelda save file is intact. Plus, of course, the save data cloud means I probably don't have to sit in manually transferring everything. So that's good. Plus, I took all of my Tears of the Kingdom screenshots off of the old Switch already and kept on my computer for use with the review. I have a lot of them. And usually, I end up with just the right amount of good screenshots because I use between 6 and 8, depending on how long the review is. And usually, after taking like 20, I've got about that many that are usable. I've got so many genuinely good screenshots for this game. and I'm not going to be able to use them all. I was tempted to have a screenshot, like in every screenshot, the pop-up message that says my weapon is badly damaged, because it happens so frequently that you'd actually get the pop-up message covering the screen less if it warned you every time your weapon was not badly damaged.
Oh my god. You should, you know what? I would do it if I were you.
It's, I've done like fun things like that before. The only thing staying my hand is I also have really good screenshots of some of the ridiculous outfits that Link can wear, which is one of the game's most positive points. You see, I like the weapon fusion system. I like the Underdark that it has now. There's an entire map underneath the map, which is just shrouded in darkness, and you slowly light it up. And it's got a real sort of Underdarky feel to it, and I really like it. But the main reason to keep playing this game, very much like with Breath of the Wild, is the outfits. It takes a long time to acquire them, but some of them are really nice. Like my favourite so far is the miner's outfit, which it has a mask that's a bit like an ant, because miner. And it's this lovely little dark number, sort of all sort of black irony looking thing with big baggy trousers. But what is really good about it is it's covered in little light bulbs, because it's for exploring the depths. So its effect is that it creates a passive glow on you, so that you can see better in the dark. I've also upgraded it so it now has a secondary feature, which is actually sort of useless and a little bit confusing, because it makes you think there are pickups where there aren't any. But it makes little glowy spots behind you intermittently so that you can backtrack or you know where you've been, which is sort of cool, but in execution a little bit distracting. But it's a really cute outfit because it's that right kind of colour glow that I like, because I love glow-in-the-dark stuff. Hello, I'm autistic. I love glow-in-the-dark stuff, like glow-in-the-dark boglins. Ooh. And it's not just the fact they glow. There's a certain shade of white, or I guess you'd call it off-white since white doesn't have a shade, but a certain whiteness that glow-in-the-dark items have, where they're white, but you can tell they're just a little bit not. And it's that kind of glow that the bulbs have. And they're like all over, they're like all hanging off and bouncing off of his vest. And around the cuffs of the pants are two big round bulbs that glow. Ooh. On the mask, because I said it's like an ant, the little antennae sort of droop down over from the head, and they've got little bulbs on the end.
Ooh!
Right? Ooh, all round. It's very good. And that's the best bit of the game, is the costumes. Like the one that's a big mushroomy one that gives Link little mushroom earrings and blue lipstick. It's fucking brilliant. Sorry, do go on. I banged on a lot there.
I'm glad that you did. But my question is the Gerudo outfit from Breath of the Wild present in Tears of the Kingdom? Because that's my favorite thing about it, is the Gerudo outfit that Link could wear and look very fetching, very feminine. Because I saw a delightful image that someone apparently drew of Link wearing that outfit, and then Zelda and Urbosa were on either side, and they were spit roasting him.
Oh! Now you have my attention.
Yeah. I showed a friend. I wish I still had access to this picture because it's gorgeous. And I said, look, it's a twink between girls.
Oh, that's quite good. I like that.
Thank you.
Wordplay and a spit roast. I mean, what more do you want? I'm going to have to start introducing that at my munch brunch.
Link doesn't talk. Put that mouth to work.
It's got to be used for summit.
Cunnilingus, isn't it?
Cunnilingus. I love that noise. I don't know if the way that noise cut a little will be in your recording, but from my point of hearing, that was marvellous. Lovely stuff.
I had to spit. I did an actual spit take.
Brilliant.
Cunnilingus. I love that.
Oh, it's good, isn't it? I might call the episode that.
Oh, what about
I will call the episode that.
But a twink between girls is pretty good too.
A twink between girls is also very good. Very good. I mean, that's one of the finest things about the Trashgirl Diaries. An American McGee product. Is... I don't know why I even said that, or why I find it funny, but I do.
Product?
American McGee's Trashgirl Diaries.
I think if it were American McGee's Trashgirl Diaries, wouldn't both of us be, like, deathly thin? You would have, like, bags under your eyes.
I've got those. I've got bags under my eyes and I'm deeply traumatized, so I could be an American McGee protagonist. Except, yeah, as you say, I'm a little bit of a chonker in comparison to the kind of protagonist he favours.
Yeah, he's a fan of, like, the... You know what he likes is the Disney design that Disney later started using unironically. You know, huge heads and tiny little bodies and wasp waists, like Frozen did that. Tangled did that.
It's basically, his art style is What If Disney but depressed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like proper clinically depressed as well. Yeah. But that is one of the best things about us, is we're spoilt for choice when it comes to what evocative title we could call it.
Yeah, it's never been an easy choice to make, except for the first time.
That is true.
The first time, Hat of Paradise was pretty easy.
It was, mate, it wrote itself.
There it is. Still there.
What was that?
The hat.
The hat. Right.
It's still on my Tonberry plush where it was last time.
I'm very used to when you say 1 second. There it is. I'm usually expecting you to have just been thinking about Angela White.
Well, now I am. Thanks.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah.
God damn it, Steph.
She apparently recently filmed a scene with Hitomi Tanaka, and I'll be enjoying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spreading a little bit of gloom.
Yeah. A little bit of gloom.
I say that we already used the gloom equals cum joke on a recent recording of the Boston's Favourite Son podcast, which I think that will have already come out before this, because we got Conrad pretty much doing all our podcast edits.
Thank you, Conrad.
Then again, I think Fee may have wanted to do this one, but that was if I was doing a live stream. I don't know my own schedule. This is why I have a dom. I hate thinking for myself, mostly because it's hard. It's difficult to think for yourself and have your own thoughts.
Yeah, I only recently started doing that. I started dieting and exercising. Which has led to me very strictly regimenting what I eat and when. Today, as of recording, it is Saturday, which is my cheat day, so I'm allowed to go have a breakfast that's just a lake of sausage gravy on a plate.
Oh, God, yes. Go for it.
Which I have done, and it was fucking delicious. It was so tasty, I almost cried. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not.
Oh, no, I mean, it's a good cheat day if you find yourself weeping openly over a spread of sausage meat.
I love sausage.
Quite poetic in a way. Oh, me too. I love sausage meat. No.
Sausages!
Right. I do think we have talked a lot about Zelda.
We have.
And I have done that on Jimquisitions, other podcasts, the review, live streams. It can sometimes, when a big game comes out, be difficult to remember that other games have happened, are happening, will happen again.
Yeah.
That is a thing. The games will keep coming with inevitability, a crushing, terrifying, awe-inspiring inevitability.
There will always be new video games.
There will always be. Long after we're gone, I was having a horrible... Sometimes I have existential thoughts. And I was thinking earlier while I was playing Tears of the Kingdom, which I just tried to segue out of. But I was playing it, and I thought, for an entire generation of people, this is something they're going to ask if their friends remember it. Do you remember Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Because one day it will be retro. One day it will be something that someone loved as a kid.
Yes.
And I have to keep thinking about that to distract me from the fact that I am someone some people loved as a kid. Like, that, my content is that old that the Jimquisition is something some people used to love as a kid. I really feel ancient at this point.
Well, here, I can pick up the ball. I can pick up the ball for us. Because,
yes, please do.
Well, there is one of the things that was announced, and no one cares because it's not Zelda, but some people do. One thing that was announced is they announced a new Mortal Kombat game.
Oh!
Yes, there is a new Mortal Kombat game coming out in September. I probably won't buy it because they're already talking DLC like a day after I announced the fucking thing, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Of course they are. It's Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Fuck Warner Brothers. Jesus.
They're awful.
Having said that, the new game is called Mortal Kombat 1.
What? Wait, it's called what?
Mortal Kombat 1.
1.
Yes.
1. Why?
Yes.
They should call it Mortal Kombat. Why?
Mortal Kombat.
Why is it 1?
Well, I mean, I can tell you.
Oh, please do.
I can tell you the lore. Okay.
Oh, there's lore.
Of course there's lore. It's Mortal Kombat. There's so much lore.
Fucking hell.
At the end of Mortal Kombat 11, which was released in 2019, spoilers for Mortal Kombat 11, ahoy. But at the end of Mortal Kombat 11, Liu Kang, who you would know as the protagonist of the film and also a dickhead, became the god of fire and thunder and also time.
Cool.
And he decided to reset existence. So now he's going to build his own timeline. And so they're starting over again.
I see. So it's a soft reboot.
Yes.
In which the plot is a hard reboot.
Yes. But the thing is, like, this fire and thunder and also time god Liu Kang is still around, and he still remembers what used to be. So that's apparently what's going on there.
I hope he's a real, like, fanboy purist about it as well. No, Sub-Zero wouldn't do that. Do it again. That's not
how Melina's mouth looked.
Right.
They changed that between games.
Yeah.
Katana is dressed wokely. She's wearing pants. That's woke. We're starting over.
Do it again.
Fucking Christ. Not even I can bring myself to care at this point. I actually sold my Mortal Kombat games today because I'm just trying to get away from anything competitive. I'm just tired of it.
Well, there's too much conflict in the world already. We don't have time for combat of a mortal nature.
We really, I mean, at least I don't.
No.
As much as I like, I miss fighting games, but this is me breaking up with them. Because I just can't deal with competition anymore.
Yeah.
I would rather just sit and eat sausage gravy that might have some biscuits underneath it.
And that is your right. Your inalienable right, especially as an American.
Goddamn right as an American.
Sausage meat appears in the Constitution so often. And it's a big part of the Constitution of the average American.
The 69th Amendment.
I thought that was Jonathan.
The 69th Amendment just says Jonathan.
It just says Jonathan. Are there any other video games What have we talked about on this one? We've talked about The Legend of the Zelda, The Tears of the Kingdom thereof. We've talked about the Mortal Kombat The One, in which Mortal Kombat has clearly been hanging around the DC department of Warner Brothers too much, with that amount of convoluted reboot bullshit. At the time of talking, I haven't played anything else, really, because it's all been Zelda. I did get the Advance Wars remake, or whatever we want to call it, the redo. I played the tutorial level when it first came out, and then never carried on because I had other things I needed to review. Keep meaning to get back to it. Fear I never will.
I have played, I've made an effort to not mention a certain video game franchise that otherwise has been entirely too focal on this podcast.
What's funny is I was about to mention it. Because it was the last game I played.
Oh yeah, the Pixel remasters.
You know what? The Pixel remasters. Yeah, I've been going through them. I played Final Fantasy IV for the nostalgia. Still really enjoyed that. I played through Final Fantasy 1 and completed it for the first time. And that game is strange after so many of the ones, the Final Fantasies I'm familiar with. Similarly, Final Fantasy 2.
Oh boy.
Which is the one I'm partway through. Downright bizarre.
That is a weird one. Like, I love Final Fantasy 2. Well, okay, I like Final Fantasy 2, but it can be a slog a lot of the time. It can be a slog. There are design decisions it makes that confuse me.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do they give you a choice of doors to go in? And if you go into the wrong door, it's a big room with an encounter rating of 100%.
Just those big empty rooms.
Yeah.
Just big empty square rooms that are only there for fighting.
Every time you take a fucking step. I always just called them fuck rooms, because anytime I saw a big empty room that I was in, I just go, fuck!
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been playing John Wick Hex.
Oh, Hex.
Yes.
Game developed by Mike Bithell, who, for the purposes of disclosure, I did voice act in one of his other games, Volume.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, and I've been waiting for the sequel so that I can have another job.
So you have voice acted for, because that guy actually, John Wick Hex actually has Ian McShane and Lance Reddick, rest in peace.
Oh God, I really liked Lance Reddick.
Well, they're both in John Wick. Well, they're in John Wick, but they're in John Wick Hex. They offered their vocal talents to it. And
neat.
John Wick Hex is a fascinating little game. You wouldn't expect a game like that to be what they do with a John Wick game. Or at least I would expect a John Wick game to just be nonstop, balls to the wall action.
Yeah. Well, I remember there being some people, like, unhappy when the game was announced, because they heard John Wick game and they were, they wanted an action shooter. And what they got was unique and very unexpected. And I remember there being a little bit of a backlash. And then most people in the end just being like, Ash is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it is good. It's fun. I'm fond of, because John Wick Hex is I guess like a tactical strategy game where you choose every single thing that John does down to like fractions of a second. And so like everything you do takes a very specific amount of time. It takes a certain amount of time to move a certain distance. It takes a little while to aim your gun before you shoot it. It takes a while for you to perform a takedown, So it's all about managing time in these tiny, tiny little increments as all of your enemies work with you.
Yeah.
And they will show up on the timeline at the top of the screen, along with how long it'll take for you to do something, how long it'll take any enemies you're engaged with to do something will be there as well. you will see that an enemy is about to shoot. And you'll think, well, I can't draw my gun and shoot this guy before he shoots me. Am I willing to take a bullet to ensure that this guy dies? Do I want to try to move to reduce the risk of being hit? Can I crouch behind something and disrupt the line of sight? It gets you thinking about things on such a micro level that when you finally finish each area, it gives you the opportunity to play it back in real time. And then you realize that, like, oh, the past 7 areas that I finished took 5 minutes combined. I think it's interesting the way that game plays with time. Narratively, it's not the most interesting thing in the world, because it's just the story of how John Wick killed a bunch more people before the first movie.
Well, I think that was one of the most fun things about the first John Wick film. Was, there are so many films that, especially if they've got franchises in mind, they give us the beginning. They give us, the rise of the protagonist. And I just really... I'm a big fan of the story, like the narrative conceit of the name that makes you shit yourself. The one everyone's afraid of. The Baba Yaga, as they call John Wick. Just the fact that this protagonist, who, the hero of a story in a very sort of typical storytelling sense, has the odds against them, and they're the underdog and all of that. It's a very popular story trope. But the fact that, like, even the top villain in the first film is shitting himself.
Yes, and, like, the way he talks about him, like, to his son, he's like, well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman. John was the man that you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman. It's the way that most movies describe the villain.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, but we've already established that John Wick is our hero and we're rooting for him because we've already seen, he loved his wife. He's pretty chill when left to his own devices. He loves his dog. He loves dogs in general.
Yeah, like, if you cross him, then there's trouble. I remember the really good scene near the beginning when John Wick is like, get out of my swamp! Because he didn't want to be bothered. But that donkey wouldn't leave him alone. Until he shot him.
I feel like you've got that confused with a different film. I think you're thinking of Die Hard.
Shit. I'm thinking of Die Hard. It's a classic mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Die Hard's the one about Bruce Willis is an ogre. And he's trying to get Alan Rickman out of his swamp, and Alan Rickman's like, "No, I'd like to stay with you. I don't have any friends." And Bruce Willis just goes, "Oh, fuck off, donkey. I'm an ogre. You shouldn't be my friend. Nobody wants to be my friend." No, I would very much like to be your friend now. Let's go save a princess. And then it turns out she doesn't really need to be saved. And that's,
no.
Haley Joel Osment is the princess in that. That's Die Hard, right?
I think, yes. Because it is funny to agree with that assertion.
This is what I love about you, Steph. You will hang lampshades on lampshades. And
I've got no subtlety.
Yeah, and you know what? I know writers who use subtlety. Cowards to a man.
They're all cowards. I used to look like Garth Marenghi.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's where that line comes from. Oh. One of my favourite comedy shows of all time, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
I've heard of this.
Which was it's a spoof of the kind of sort of like Stephen King kind of thing. It's set in a hospital where, strange phenomenon and like portals to hell and everything have opened, but it's this deliberately shittily filmed 80s like spoof of an 80s medical drama / supernatural TV show. written by a fictional author called Garth Marenghi, played by, I think the actor's name's Matthew Holmes.
Yes.
And Richard Ayoade, God damn it, I always trip up on the name, but the one that talks like this, he's in it. Fantastic in it as well.
Richard Ayoade.
Richard Ayoade, yes, that's it. I always fuck the pronunciation.
Apparently he was in the IT Crowd as well.
He was in the IT Crowd. That's sort of where a lot of people knew him from. I first saw him in the Mighty Boosh, which I think predated that a bit.
I like the Mighty Boosh. I've never watched the IT Crowd.
I did watch through all of the IT Crowd once, and it wasn't that great. And I'm not just saying that because Graham Linehan wrote it, because I loved Father Ted and Black Books, but I didn't like the IT Crowd so much.
You're a racist now, Father.
Right? I hate that I can't go back and enjoy. I used to watch the Christmas episode of Father Ted every single Christmas.
Aww.
It was just one of those Christmas things I watched. I like to have... I'm not a big Christmas person, but I like to have my little traditions. I like to watch the Bottom Christmas special on Christmas Eve, which I actually neglected to do last Christmas Eve. So I probably put a curse on myself.
Oh, jeez.
I had the lovely Echo, who is a friend and regular on the chat in my stream chat. They were over Christmas along with my tag team partner in wrestling, Priscilla, Queen of the Ring. And we watched Hook and Labyrinth. Labyrinth being one of my favourite films of all time. And Hook used to be a bit of a Christmassy film for us because my brother got it on VHS one year. So I would like to have Hook as a new sort of Christmas thing that I do every year with folks.
Aww.
I went on a real sentimental tangent there, but the point is I can't watch Father Ted anymore because Graham Linehan, who, and I always point this out because I don't think he'd like to acknowledge it, Graham Linehan used to be a big fan of mine.
That
but now sort of
is perfect.
Right? Fucking beautiful.
Oh, that's perfect.
Used to be a big fan of mine. Obviously, because he's a massive turf, hates me now. He has insulted me before, had a go at my selfies. Posted a selfie of mine and said something about watching too much porn. So I've extrapolated from that when he thinks of me, he thinks of pornography. Which, given the fact that he's a very clear chaser, I think that tracks.
He's actually, back when I had Twitter, he got into it with me briefly.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, and I have never engaged anybody, any fucking TERFs in good faith. I've just come at them with the most childish insults I can think of.
Oh, absolutely. They're not worth anything else.
So I'm just like, well, I'm not the one who eats poo. You eat poo. Because if you're a TERF, you eat poo every single day. For breakfast and lunch and dinner, you eat it with a grapefruit spoon. But, I definitely sympathize with media that, you used to really love having really unfortunate connotations now. It's one of the reasons why I can no longer watch All Elite Wrestling.
Right.
Because, there are a couple of people in AEW who have some shit to answer for.
It has its shit heels.
But the big one for me is Darby Allin, because I used to have the biggest crush on Darby Allin, and I met him multiple times. The thing is, he and Jake Hager were both very nice to me personally when I met them. More so than... I didn't meet any wrestler who was a dick to me, but Jake Hager and Darby Allin, neither of whom are good people.
No. Darby Allin, abuser. Jake Hager, complete fucking trump.
Yeah, he's and I think the Young Bucks are as well.
There's a couple of fucking, proper Trumpos in AEW.
Yeah, I think Chris Jericho as well.
Oh, yes, his, I believe, I'll couch that with the word allegedly. Allegedly, his wife was at the insurrection.
Yes!
Was at the Capitol Hill on the old January 6th.
Yep, and
cheeky fucker.
But the big heartbreak for me was definitely Darby Allin. I could not, like, I cannot watch AEW anymore because every time I look at him, I just think, you broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You broke my heart, you absolute bastard. And as we've established already on the Trashgirl Diaries, it is canon to the Trashverse that Darby Allin is actually the Oogie Boogie of wrestling.
That is true.
If you pull on his hair, he just falls apart and goes, "My bugs!"
My bugs!
And just comes apart.
Absolutely.
And so, I hate to agree with Jim Cornette about anything, but certain things shouldn't be in wrestling, and Oogie Boogie is one of them.
Yes.
There's no room for Oogie Boogie in my wrestling. Thank you, fuck you, bye.
That is, like, you haven't done a lot of impersonations on the Trashgirl Diaries, but I've always been amazed by them when I hear them on places like Talking to Women About Video Games. And despite knowing that you are a veritable maestro when it comes to voice work,
mimicry,
I'm still always shocked and delighted. And
thank you.
And that Jim Cornette was perfect. That was perfect.
I listened to a lot of the Experience at one point before he really started to piss me off and say, like, gross transphobic shit.
Why do they always go there? They always go
every single fucking time. And, like,
right? Without fail.
The fact that he's, like, center-left politically makes that all the more irritating.
He hates Donald Trump and he thinks that makes him, like, okay.
Yeah.
It's the worst kind of lib.
Pretty much. But having said that, Jim Cornette to me is just the living embodiment of the worst person you know just made an excellent point.
Every now and then he does hit out with something decent.
Another wrestler I really liked at one point was Nia Jax. And now she's anti-vax.
Yeah.
And
I'm not like most girls. I don't believe in vaccination.
And so Jim Cornette actually, like, kind of ripped her a new one. And it was perfect. It was fantastic.
That said, as you say, ripped her a new one. Nia Jax was responsible for one of the best wrestling clips of all time.
My hole!
Where she lands ass first on the ring apron and just screams, "My hole!"
It's perfect. It's beautiful.
It is delicious. It's delicious.
Oh, God. And she showed up at the Royal Rumble this year.
She did.
Yeah, she did. And she just arrived, and Rhea Ripley was just like, everybody, let's band together and get her to fuck off. It was like everybody in the ring teamed up to eliminate Nia Jax.
Well, as someone who is a very big wrestler, very tall, very wide, obviously, I've been in that position to be the biggest person in the ring in a Rumble-style match. It happened at Effie's Big Gay Brunch a little while back, like a couple of weeks ago. Fucking Harley Hudson, my old nemesis.
Ooh.
Who, by the way, I'm facing one-on-one in Blackpool in the main event of Pride of the Ring 2 on June 10th. Tickets still available at buytickets.at/PCW.
Crush her.
Yeah, she orchestrated an assault on me, Rhea Ripley style, which did lead to me getting the biggest laugh of the match when I was screaming, "Stop hitting me," and then did a not quite a flare flop, but a beautiful felled tree style face bump out of the corner when they backed off.
Like in Mortal Kombat, like when you don't put in the fatality correctly?
Similar, yeah. I'm very proud of what I call my Tom and Jerry bumping. I've only done the back bump twice. The first time I had a match with the evil Tory, Zio Knox, and he was going to hit me with a big croquet mallet, but I got it off him and I'd received permission to hit him. So I raised it above my head, like proper cartoon Tom and Jerry style, but he had a little tiny mallet and he hit me in the head with it. And then, still with the hammer above my head, I just, like, fell backwards, completely rigid. And it was a fucking great
My
bump.
favorite bump of yours, actually, is during the somehow divisive, even though it's objectively excellent, hypnotism spot.
Oh, the one that Scotty Too Hottie said was degrading.
Yeah, and, that's fucking rich coming from the man whose finishing move was a standing fist drop after spending a minute and a half doing the fucking worm.
Well, he doesn't do funny stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, he's not a comedy wrestler.
The worm's deadly serious.
The worm is deadly and too cool. There's nothing even remotely funny about Too Cool.
I mean, you're not wrong there.
I like Rikishi, but anyway.
Actually, I did like Too Cool. It's I'm not going to shit on the man's undulating breakdancing body of work just because he was a complete dick to me and accused me of libel and has tried to ruin my wrestling career, which he's literally tried to do. He's had a go at me for, like, defamation, but he's been on Twitter, like, saying shame on any promotion that books this.
You know what? Why don't we fucking ask James Remine how defamation and Stephanie Sterling.
I already issued that challenge. I did say that, like, if he truly believes it's libel, then that is a matter for the law.
Yeah, it's just fucking let Scotty Too Hottie sue you and see where that takes him. But yeah, no, the
Scotty Sue Hottie. Right? Oh dear. Yeah, let's move on from my grudges. Yes, the hypnotism.
Grudges? What are you doing trying to steal my goddamn thunder? Little redneck Tonberry there for you.
Big fan. But yes, I'm really proud of that. If you've not seen the spot, I faced a tag team along with my partner Priscilla. We faced a tag team called the Freak Show, which is Axel the Clown and Freaky Felicia, two of my favourite people in wrestling. We train at the same place. They're incredible. And Freaky has a whole gimmick where she's sort of this creep. She moves like a marionette. Her movements are amazing. But she hypnotizes people. She's got a little UV swirl on her nose, and the lights change, and she hypnotizes you. And yeah, she hypnotized me into basically hypnotized my hands to wrestle myself, and then I did some of the, like, Bruce Campbell style, like, Evil Dead 2 stuff. Bashed my own head on the turnbuckle, grabbed myself by the back of the head, and then yanked myself into a flip bump, which I was really proud of.
You essentially snapmared yourself. It was awesome.
Yeah, I snapmared myself, yeah. And that's actually a bump I do every week in training, because flip bumps are something people get taught, and for the longest time, because of my sort of size and my physical ailments, sort of the chronic pain and everything, I couldn't really do it. To my great disbelief, I could do some of the rolling. I could do the shoulder rolls and everything. But when it came to the flip bump, I basically did a sort of front roll and then just snapped it into a back bump. But more and more, I got more confident to the point where I can now, unassisted, not do a complete, like, 360 degree perfectly in line. Like, I favour the side a bit. But at my size, it still looks super fucking impressive. It's the same with the wheel kick.
Yeah, your wheel kick is exquisite.
Oh, thank you. It's not always reliable. Sometimes it doesn't look great, but when it hits,
it looks very similar to a move I've seen in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And I...
Oh, yeah, let's mention video games before we've turned off so many people.
Yeah.
You know what? These shows are normally an hour. All of this, what we're doing on a podcast that's just not ended because Zoom hasn't ended it for us.
Yeah.
This is all gravy. People are like choking down thick gravy right now. They're sucking on our gravy.
Can I suck your gravy?
Only if there's sausage and biscuits underneath. In that case, I'll allow it.
I'll find a way. I'll find a way to incorporate a sausage and some biscuits into a sex act, goddammit.
I believe it. In fact, if anyone is capable of that, it's you.
And Jonathan Holmes.
And Jonathan, of course. I have complete faith in you in that endeavour.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I'll roll it into the old Munchin Brunch. Maybe it's time we did end this.
Yeah.
Mostly because I had such a lovely time, and as we record this, it's one of the busiest weekends I've had in a while.
Oof.
And I was determined to make time for this because of the amount of times I end up having to push it back. And I love recording them. So I was like, I will make time. But then I just got talking, just had so much fun.
Aww.
And still have to finish drafting up the Zelda review. And I've got the video game I'm writing for that I can't talk about. That I've having to do some formatting on that. And still got a Jimquisition script to write. And do all that. Saving grace as I've got no wrestling this weekend. That will kick up again on June 8th, where I will be in York, tagging with Priscilla, Queens of the Space Age, for True Grit Wrestling. I'll be in York for the first time.
Delightful.
Then on June 9th, I've got a run of 4 nights doing stuff. I don't know if it's been properly announced yet, the audience thing. But on June 8th, I'm in York in a tag team match, True Grit. On June 9th, I'm in a pub with my friend, my ring announcer friend, Mark, who, even though I know and I love him, for some reason, I'm always terrified I'm going to get his surname wrong. Mark Adams. I think it's because it's another first name. And then I'm like, it's Andrew, it's Anderson, it's Mark Adams. He's a ring announcer, and he's hosting an audience with Commander Sterling on the 9th. Then on the 10th, I'm in Blackpool for that Pride of the Ring match. And then on the 11th, I'm in Manchester for Sovereign Pro Wrestling. So, big run, busy.
Pro?
Sov Pro, yeah. That promotion where Scotty didn't want to fight me because I'm degrading. I degrade the sport by giving myself a snapmare. A really impressive self snapmare.
Yeah, you know what though? Kota Ibushi did a series of flip bumps for a blow-up doll. So is Scotty Too Hottie gonna refuse to wrestle Kota Ibushi? Not that Kota Ibushi would. But if given the opportunity, would Scotty Too Hottie turn down Kota Ibushi? I think he wouldn't. I don't think Scotty Too Hottie would turn down Kenny Omega either.
I'll say this, one of the most respected wrestlers in the country, one of the best wrestlers in the country, trains me and trains the Freak Show. And he's one of the most, when you think of a serious wrestler, Liam Slater, aka Liam Lazarus, he used to be known as. When you think of a wrestler, capital W, who does the job and does it damn fucking well, that's him. And PPW, Pursuit Pro Wrestling, which has its first show on September 23rd, its first actual public show as a school, as a promotion, has one of the most diverse alumni, if you want to call them. Well, I guess not alumni, because a lot of us stay there. But one of the most diverse collection of people, all trained under Liam. We've got, Commander Sterling, the star-faced, wacky supervillain. We've got the Freak Show. We've got a Phantom of the Opera. We had a hippie Velvet Vaughn, who has been on our Phoenix and I's promotion spectrum. We've got some of the most diverse wrestlers ever. And then we've got guys that have gone on to do big stuff like Leon Slater. We've got amazingly talented wrestlers like Jay Vertigo. It's a massively diverse thing. And that's what pisses me off about attitudes, where wrestlers think they're above others for not wrestling and conforming to their idea of valid. Because there's room for all of it. And that's not just wrestling. There's room for all sorts of people and their weirdnesses.
In the Munchin Brunch?
in the Munch and Brunch. Everyone's allowed in the bed, but the moment you fall off,
you're done.
You're done.
Except for the
You're out of here.
sausage in the fridge.
Get in the kitchen. Yeah, get in the kitchen, and you'll be happy of those Sainsbury's own brand sausage rolls. Speaking of rolls, I've got to do that. I've got to tear myself away as much as I am loving this podcast.
And, we just hit the hour and a half mark, so I think that whoever edits this, they'll have a lot to work with, and it's going to be a pretty delightful show.
Oh, absolutely.
In closing.
Absolutely. In closing.
Thank God for you.
Well, bless you, my child. I wish you a very lovely day. If you are indulging in more sausagey fun on your cheat day, I hope that goes down swimmingly. Well, I guess you don't want a sausage to go down swimmingly, unless you're quaffing it with tasty mead.
I'll go down swimmingly.
Oh my. Oh my. Is there anything you'd like to sell, flog before we go?
I'm still just a pretty low-key internet user. I do have a project that I guess I'll announce it here, which is I am attempting to chart the various connections that make up the broader Final Fantasy multiverse that was established in the Dissidia games.
Oh, right.
And I'm currently working on that, taking notes as I play through Stranger of Paradise again. So if that ever becomes what in my mind it will become, it could just be a big poster covered in red string. But that is something I'm working on, and that is something that I hope to maybe bring to the world and let that be my legacy. So it is it's my Final Fantasy multiverse project that I'm working on. And to answer the question that a lot of people probably have, no, Final Fantasies 7 and 10 are not connected. That's an Easter egg.
Wow. That's going to be awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And as always, I'm just very happy to talk to you, Steph.
Yeah. Well, the same. These podcasts are absolutely delightful, and they've proven quite popular with the listeners, who find them very easy listening and very entertaining. And I tend to agree. I'm very proud of the Trashgirl Diaries and of our esteemed companionship and conversationship. I am going to depart now. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna do the same.
I got really aggressive and boisterous there.
Yes, but I'm gonna take my leave as well, because I honestly just keep talking until I need to do a shit, and I need to do a shit.
Okay, well, definitely gonna let you get on with that then. Bye.
Bye-bye, ta-ta. It's the eye of the Jonathan, it's the thrill of the shite, rising up to the challenge of my penis. And I wish it was like that in the face of my ass, but I was a Jonathan. Dun, dun, dun.